Greetings and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So very early in my Krishna consciousness as a young brahmachari, you must know, full of energy, full of fire, and just want to do things and just want to serve and just want to climb the success ladder. Little did we know at that time. So usually when we start up with anything, and especially when we start up with life, then ambition is wonderful, but self-ambition is the trap. Ambition to do and to serve to please Krishna, that is what ambition is about. That is what Arjuna represents. He's ambitious, he studied. Arjuna would practice in the dark. You remember that story where he would shoot arrows in the dark. So he was very ambitious. But his ambition was Ma Manusmara Yudhyacha. Just remember me and fight, Arjuna. Ma Manusmara. So that is what Arjuna became ambitious about. I'm just remembering as a young brahmachari when we joined, then naturally you want to learn everything. Everything is new, right? You want to learn how to do this, how to do that. And Prabhupada explains that a brahmachari should know three things. What are those? He should learn how to cook, he should learn how to preach, and he should learn how to do kirtan. If he knows those three things, then he can be in any situation and be Krishna conscious. So when I first started in the early years, Mother Jai Radhika from Lanesia Temple, she was the first one who taught me how to cook. So we usually started as a backup, and gradually she taught how, this is how you put, then you put the oil, then you put the mustard seed, you put the ginger, then you put the chilies, and you wait for it to get brown, all those things. So starting from that we developed, and now we are cooking 6 double-decker pots of biryani for this wonderful Food for Life Center that we've started in Queensborough. And in terms of preaching, I remember the first Bhagavad Gita class that we used to do. I was so nervous, only 2 people sitting there. And you are so nervous and wondering what to do. And later on, as we developed, we've even given class in a stadium of 16,000 people once. So gradual development from where to where. And in terms of kirtan, you don't want to hear the first kirtan. We started. And gradually from there we've learnt and also released the Damodar Astikam track and different kirtans like that. So my point is not to impress you, but to impress upon you. Gradual development and growth is a necessity of life, but it must be connected inward. The problem with life as we live it today, it's connected outward. Therefore, it's result driven. We only inspired when we get results, when we climb the success ladder, not the yoga ladder. So I'm very grateful for my humble beginnings and those who taught me and mentored me, especially in Lanesia, to make me well-rounded. Yeah, with all the Maha, we become well-rounded now. But we've learned to grow, and that's the point, that if you grow with ambition to serve, it's a very different idea from growing with the ambition to succeed. So let's have a look at the diary and see today's quote.
Be resilient. It is essential to make oneself used to putting up with a little. Even the wealthy and the well-provided are continually met and frustrated by difficult times and situations. It is in no man's power to have whatever he wants, but he has it in his power not to wish for what he hasn't got, and cheerfully make the most of the things that do come his way.
Yes, so today's quote is very powerful as well. Let's break it down. It says here, it is essential to make oneself used to putting up with the little. Yes. So usually when we start, we have very little resources. And even if the inspiration is here, the resources are not there. So we think, what to do? I don't have this, I don't have that. So one of the most powerful sayings is that instead to look for resources, become resourceful. Become resourceful. Think about what you can use and how you can use it. Because you do have access to some things. So use that and see how you can grow that. Even the wealthy and the well-provided are continually met and frustrated by difficult times and situations. Yes, usually when we look at the person driving the nice car, living in the nice house, it's the only feature we see of that person. Behind that wall, behind the door, there is a person who's also stressed. There is a person that has to endure and do so many things in order to maintain that image, in order to maintain what they have. Just like no car just exists on its own, right? It has to be insured, it has to be protected, it has to be washed, it has to be guarded, it has to be maintained. All of these things cost money, but when you see it driving past, you never think of all of that. So what we see of life is just an advert. What life is a different reality. So the sooner we can set the reality of life into the heart, into the mind, then we have a much more peaceful experience of it. So he continues, it is in no man's power to have whatever he wants, but he has it in his power not to wish for what he hasn't got, and cheerfully make the best of things that do come his way. Yes, so we all hankering and aspiring for things that we don't have, and that creates desire. Desire unfulfilled leads to frustration and anger. Krishna says, Dhyayato Vishayan Punsa Sangaste Shubhajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Krodha Vijayate. So you become angry, Krodha, because of the frustration of not being fulfilled. So what Krishna is describing is a gradual downfall. So how do we live life positively? By taking the guidance and the counsel of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yastvatma ratid eva syat atma triptascha manavaha atmani eva cha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate. Translation: but for one who takes pleasure in the self. So Krishna is guiding that there's three places where you can take pleasure. One from the senses, one from the mind, and one from the self. And we know that the more we connect to the body and the senses and the mind, that pulls us down to oblivion. But the more we can connect to the self, Atmani eva cha santushtas, then in that state of consciousness we experience ambition but driven by service. It's not ambition driven by greed or by any material standards. It's ambition driven by service, driven by love. That you want to grow and you want to become better, but to serve Krishna. And whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satisfied. For him there is no duty. Yes, so Krishna is describing why is there no duty? Because it's become a lifestyle, because he's living his life with ambition driven by service. But the inner consciousness, the journey in, is a process of assessing and experiencing life from the level of the soul. And that is the most rewarding feeling as one grows and develops happiness and success in your life.